So again, welcome everyone. My name is John Jarvis. I'm a technical consultant on the solutions team here at Somerford Associates. I'm a Splunk architect and a certified HashiCorp professional in both Vault and Terraform. We're here today, of course, to discuss the latter of those two products, Vault, and in particular the fully managed service that's just been announced for AWS platforms or environments called HashiCorp Cloud Platform or HPC Vault. So without further ado, what's on the agenda? So we'll open up for those of you that aren't too familiar with with what's affectionately known as the HashiStack. We'll go through a whistle-stop tour of HashiCorp's main products, and then we'll get into the meat of today, which is just talking about what's been released with this announcement of GA for HashiCorp Vault, HPC Vault. And then we'll talk. There's also been a new, rather big release of Vault itself, 1.7. So I thought I'd go through some of the highlights of that because it is actually quite a chunky release. And then just tell you a bit about ourselves and finish up with some Q&A. So hopefully that's whet your appetite. So HashiCorp, in case this is the first time that you're kind of really hearing about them, it's a cloud adoption platform is really what they're pushing. That's why we kind of call it the HashiStack, because there's a lot of integrations in there, but at the same time, that platform it's very composable. You can pull things out, put things in. So ultimately, it's all the different pieces required to facilitate provisioning, networking, platform orchestration, and runtime environments, and the secrets that go all around that, and doing so at scale. That's the other big thing to keep in mind here. HashiCorp's products, a lot of them are open source, but and very popular, I should quickly add. But when you're talking about scaling these up to enterprise level and all the governance and multi-data center, those kinds of concerns, that's when you're talking about enterprise. So what are the products that we're referring to then? Well, first up, the most popular, Terraform. If you've heard the term IAC, infrastructure as code, that's Terraform. They're market leading in that space. So it is what it says on the tin. It's building infrastructure, but in a way, representing it in a way that is code, that is allows you to reproduce it, that allows you to do everything you can do with code, version it, audit it, manage it. And it works with a variety of different service providers. It's the other thing. It's designed to, much like the rest of the HashiStack, to be composable. So whatever particular infrastructure you're building, Terraform's going to grab the plans, if you want, of how to build those things at the time that it needs it and build it up. And you can make custom providers as well to build up your own solutions. Some examples of the things that you can build. We're talking about AWS today. You can build an AWS infrastructure like that, DigitalOcean, say, platforms like Heroku for building and deploying applications, or software like GitHub. If you can imagine it, there's probably a Terraform provider to build it. Up next, the star of today, Vault secrets management. That's its bread and butter. And we're talking about secrets broadly here. So yeah, tokens, passwords, certificates, encryption keys. Basically, if you want to keep the knowledge from adversaries, from competitors, Vault is the tool to do it. And it does all this by working with a trusted source, and it's one trusted source. So it's whether it's whatever your identity provider is, Okta, Active Directory. That's all that you need to worry about, basically. From there on, once Vault is certain that the entity is known to your system, Vault takes care of all the things that be it a machine or a person behind that can do from there on out in policy. And again, talking about the enterprise scale, it can work, at data center replication, disaster recovery. Once you get into the enterprise version, Vault is very, very robust in that space. So keywords to take away from Vault is dynamic. So we're talking about short-lived credentials, and I'll get into a bit of that when we're talking about 1.7, and automation as well. So it's really designed. Vault is designed to work in a machine-to-machine, service-to-service kind of space, but it also really works well with humans in the mix, if that makes sense. Next up is the orchestrator, Nomad. So Nomad's designed to really meet you wherever you are on your cloud adoption journey. It's simple and it's flexible, but also, again, production grade if you need that level with your workloads. It's part of the HashiStack and integrates directly with Terraform. So there's a handoff there. Build your infrastructure and get the workloads running on it seamlessly is the idea with secret management from Vault and service discovery and service mesh, all on one unified platform. But I think one thing to highlight with Nomad in particular, because obviously there's a lot of competitors in this space, Kubernetes being the Goliath. These workloads that we're talking about, they can be on-prem or legacy ones as well. So we're not just talking about the cloud space here. And I think that's an important distinguishing feature. Nomad can work with a lot of use cases, and there's plenty of good reasons why you might not want to have your workloads in the cloud, or you might not yet want to have your workloads in the cloud. And Nomad isn't really bothered by that. It can schedule and work with your on-prem workloads and any new cloud services you want to stand up, and really do that quite seamlessly. So it's the pressure's off kind of thing to, we've got to get everything into the cloud. Well, no, it's entirely down to your business at that point. Okay, and last but not least, Consul. So Consul is about service-based networking, really. The glue of all this, how everything communicates securely. As for the rest of the stack, multi-cloud, and can work in private and public cloud, as well as any other runtime platform. It's about, well, we talked earlier about service discovery and service mesh, and that's really the level that Consul is working at. So if you think in the past you had, you were concerned about securing endpoints, you were concerned about, you were thinking of this IP address is good because it's been assigned to this data center, so we'll let it through the firewall to a database server sitting on our DMZ, for example. Now with Consul, what you're thinking about is, well, what do I want connecting to my database service? Well, this web service can contact this database server, and once that's been managed, then that's kind of abstracting up a level, if that makes sense. And then what's even better, of course, with integrating with the other parts of the HashiStack is that web service can request credentials from Vault to say, I want to talk to this database server. I need this kind of credential, and Vault can say, yeah, okay, you're allowed to do that. I know who you are. And it can issue, a short-lived credential, say 30 minutes, say, okay, you can access the database, and that token can be renewed for up to 2 hours, maybe, or something like that. Again, all very customizable. And then after that, that credential is useless. So it's about facilitating that that dynamic environment that's not going to it's going to limit the blast radius, basically, if any of this stuff gets out. Okay, so that's the HashiStack. Simple, right? Hopefully some of that landed. But what are we really here to talk about today? Well, Vault, and in particular, Vault managed for you, is the key. So HPC Vault, it's designed to minimize the steps necessary to use Vault within your AWS environments. So HashiCorp has listened to their clients. They've heard the concerns about skills required to deploy and maintain Vault, as well as the time it takes to operationally get ready for adoption. Now at a high level, operators just need to take the following steps. It really is push button right now. Create an HPC account, go into Vault and set up a virtual network, HashiCorp Virtual Network, HVN, and then select a Vault cluster. Now at the moment, they've got a development cluster for testing things out, and then they've got a production grade cluster for if you're ready to have that scale, basically. And they've also, this is just GA, obviously. They've actually got 2 other tiers planned in the near future, one that sits above production and has some more advanced data protection features. I'll be discussing that a little bit in the next slide on Vault 1.7, as well as a mid-range one that kind of sits between development and production. And other things like multi-region clusters and clusters on other cloud platforms. Kind of obvious points that they are very aware of and working on. So yes, select which of the 2 clusters you want at the minute, and then following that, just it's a matter of pairing it up with your current AWS infrastructure, which could be entirely private, could be exposed to the internet as well, but doesn't have to be. It could be, and probably would be in most production settings, attached to a private virtual cloud or private virtual clouds that you're running your services in. And so, yeah, EC2 instances, Kubernetes, whatever you have, Vault can be used then to securely manage it from day 0. It's all, HashiCorp's going to run it all for you. And another good thing about this is right in GA, European AWS regions are included. So there's 3 at the minute. As I said, they're planning to expand this out. Yes, London, Ireland, and Frankfurt are all on the list from today. So actually, what I'm going to do right now is I've got some links that I'm going to put in the chat, and I'll do that right at the minute, because the first one is on the GA in case you want to have any more information about that. So yeah, there should be 4 links in there, hopefully. I'll get onto what the other ones are in a minute. Okay, so that's HPC Vault, but let's say that you want to actually run it yourself. Well, from today, actually, Vault 1.7.1, a security release, is out. But with Vault 1.7, what were some of the key features? Well, kind of 3 broad themes with this release. And the first one up there, integrations. So they've got a couple of new secrets engines, which are a key part of Vault, obviously, available with 1.7. There's a Terraform secrets engine and a Snowflake secrets engine. So where you can dynamically generate tokens for Terraform Cloud and Terraform Enterprise in the first instance, and as well as dynamic database credentials for those hosted in Snowflake Data Cloud in the latter. They've also introduced a means of generating AD Active Directory service accounts dynamically. And as well, they've got what's called a CSI driver. Basically makes, it just looks like another disk to your application. So it looks like it's interacting with the file system as far as it's concerned. But really what's happening is Vault is managing all that behind the scenes. And so that simplifies, greatly simplifies integrations, with Kubernetes and things like that. It's just effectively seamless. Next broad theme is around, well, what did Armand say? It's a forever one for us, I think. Reliability, ease of use. It's just that's been one of their core tenets of Vault from the beginning. And the big one here, and you see on the right as well, is integrated storage is now finally really even with. You're not losing out if you decide to go with integrated storage as your backend instead of Consul, which was the traditional backend for, say, an enterprise grade deployment. Now you can have the simplicity of integrated storage with all of its, with all the functionality that you would hope for, which has been coined Autopilot. And the idea behind that is it doesn't it doesn't require any special tuning on your part. So there's a monitoring aspect to Autopilot. You can perform health checks. A big one, server stabilization. So the Raft quorum isn't going to be messed with as badly because new nodes kind of have to prove that they're in a stable state before they're allowed to become a voting member, as it were. And if servers drop off, then it's about cleaning that up again to keep a healthy quorum, basically. So that's IS integrated storage Autopilot. Also, another big one though is automatic barrier key rotation. So up until this point, this was something that had to be done manually, and it was a case of best practices where you would keep track of this, and it's not. And again, in best practice, it's not just a time-based thing; it's how much you're using a particular key, so how many writes you're doing, and just how active your deployment is. And it's non-trivial to calculate that. Well, the great news, Vault does this automatically now, and it does it based on industry best practices. So if your cluster is very busy with writes, that's going to happen automatically quite often. And last one in this list is it's a performance. It's about improving performance, basically, in particularly demanding environments. So think about say a really busy Kubernetes cluster where nodes are being stood up and torn down quickly, but they're needing access to credentials. It's allowing this to happen in a way that's not going to cripple your cluster, basically, by caching things locally in agent, locally and securely. And the final one, I talked about this briefly with that tier that's planned, advanced data protection. They've been working hard on this, and tokenization in particular is now GA as well. It had been beta. And there's a few different things in this. So format preserving encryption, for example, allows the client to quickly adopt certified protections without having to worry about changing underlying database schemas. So it works with the schema that you have right now, and your database will be happy, basically. It won't balk at the data that you're firing at it. In contrast to this, tokenization is more about having taking out something that's non-reversible that you can then work with, a token in the the original sense, let's say. And these are things that are required by GDPR and PCI DSS, for example. Yeah, and then finally, we've got the key management secrets engine as well. And currently, this supports Azure Key Vault, but AWS KMS is also in beta at the moment. And this is again about ease of use, basically managing your key material for you. I've got down below there next week actually. HashiCorp's going to be doing a live webinar on this if you want more information or if you want to talk to them directly. And there should be a link in the chat now for that. Okay, so just to finish up, we have certified HashiCorp implementation professionals. I mentioned I'm Chip and Vault certified, but I'm not the only one at Somerford. And we're also Terraform and Vault associates. We've got frontline support, so you can deal with us directly. And if we haven't seen the problem, HashiCorp's going to be very interested to hear from us. So you'll get good turnaround on that, because anything that's out of the ordinary, they're going to want to know. You're taking advantage of complimentary workshops right now. We offer those on all of the latest features with that on any of the products that I went through earlier in the HashiStack. So check that link, which again should be in the chat, for more details on that. And we're not just about HashiCorp. We've got quite a lot of security and observability expertise in the company, Splunk in particular. So do reach out if you have any questions, or if you're thinking about branching out into those spaces. Other than that, thank you very much. I'll take any questions. If anybody has them, you can drop them in the chat or just speak up. Let's not be too formal here. Otherwise, I'll thank you very much for your time and attention. Let me just pop that in the chat, actually. Yeah, if you take down that email address, and anything comes to you after the webinar is over, just fire it at us and we'll get back to you. All right, great. Thank you very much, everyone.